The most dangerous kind of bankruptcy is not financial, it is psychological. A person can lose money and recover, lose a job and recover, lose a business and recover. But when someone loses belief in themselves, they begin to see every setback as proof that their future is already decided. Maybe that is where you are right now. Maybe you feel behind, embarrassed, exhausted, or stuck. Maybe you keep replaying the moment everything started falling apart. But what if your current situation is not your final chapter? What if starting over is not evidence that you failed, but evidence that life is giving you a chance to rebuild differently? And what if everything you lost was exposing everything you needed to rebuild? Think of a house built on unstable ground. When it collapses, the collapse feels like a disaster. But sometimes the disaster is not the collapse. The disaster is spending years living in a structure that was never strong enough to survive a storm. Some people spend their entire lives protecting a weak foundation instead of building a stronger one. This is not a video about getting rich quickly. It is not a list of shortcuts, hacks, or overnight success stories. It is about becoming the kind of person who cannot be permanently defeated by setbacks. The kind of person who can lose almost everything and still find a way to rebuild. That is why we are going to explore 9 rules that do far more than improve your finances. They rebuild your mindset, your habits, your discipline, and your identity. These are not rules learned in comfort. They are lessons usually discovered when life becomes uncomfortable enough to force a reset. And here is the question that changes everything. What if losing everything is not the real tragedy? What if the real tragedy is continuing to think like the person who lost it? If rebuilding begins in the mind before it appears in the bank account, then one question becomes impossible to ignore. Why do so many people remain stuck even after they have been given another chance? Why? Most people stay stuck. Most people do not stay stuck because they are incapable. They stay stuck because invisible patterns quietly shape every decision they make. After a setback, fear begins whispering that trying again is too risky. Shame convinces them to hide instead of grow. Comparison makes someone else's success feel like proof that they have already lost. Regret keeps pulling their attention backward till they forget they still have the power to move forward. None of these chains can be seen, yet they can hold a person in place for years. The greatest tragedy is that many people stop long before life tells them to stop. They do not run out of ability, they run out of belief. Once belief disappears, every obstacle looks larger than it really is, and every opportunity seems too far away to matter. That is why the first rule is simple but uncomfortable. Accept reality without self-pity. There is nothing wrong with feeling disappointed, hurt, or frustrated. Those emotions are human. The danger begins when disappointment becomes an identity. Self-pity is like quicksand. The longer you stand in it hoping someone will pull you out, the deeper you sink until even small steps feel impossible. The second rule is just as important. Take ownership before you seek opportunity. Imagine 2 people facing the same financial setback. One spends years blaming the economy, bad luck, family, or terrible timing. The other wakes up each morning asking a different question: what can I control today? Their circumstances may begin in the same place, but their futures quickly move in different directions because one waits for rescue while the other starts rebuilding. Personal responsibility is like standing in front of a mirror. A mirror never insults you. It never praises you. It simply reflects what is already there. Looking honestly at yourself may feel uncomfortable, but only an honest reflection shows you what needs to change. Excuses can feel comforting because they protect the ego from pain. Yet every excuse quietly steals something far more valuable than pride. It steals tomorrow. Comfort often wears the mask of safety, but beneath that mask it slowly erodes ambition, discipline, and confidence, until staying the same feels easier than becoming someone new. Recognizing these patterns is not about blaming yourself for every mistake. It is about freeing yourself from them. The moment you acknowledge what has been holding you back, you also discover that it no longer has complete control over your future. And once blame disappears, an even greater transformation becomes possible, changing not only your circumstances but the way you think. The mindset shift that changes everything. The moment you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" everything begins to change. Your circumstances may not improve overnight, but your relationship with them does. And that shift is often the beginning of every lasting transformation. People who rebuild their lives rarely possess magical opportunities. They simply develop a mindset that refuses to let temporary conditions define permanent possibilities. That is why the third rule is so important. Stop chasing money, start building value. Most people spend years chasing the result while ignoring the reason the result exists. Money is not the foundation. It is the reward for becoming useful, solving problems, earning trust, and consistently creating value for others. When your attention stays fixed only on the paycheck, every setback feels like the end. But when your attention shifts toward becoming more capable, disciplined, and valuable, every day becomes another opportunity to invest in yourself. Wealth often follows the person who first learns how to become someone worth rewarding. The fourth rule changes how you see every setback. Failure is feedback, not identity. There is a world of difference between saying I failed and believing I am a failure. One describes an event. The other becomes a prison. The moment you confuse what happened with who you are, you begin carrying a weight that was never meant to belong to you. Mistakes can teach you. Labels only trap you. Think about the seasons. Winter never convinces a tree that spring has been canceled forever. The branches may look empty. Growth may seem invisible. Yet beneath the surface, life is still preparing for another season. Your financial winter works the same way. A difficult chapter is not proof that your future has disappeared. It may simply be the season where your roots are growing deeper than anyone can see. Start viewing setbacks as tuition instead of punishment. Every lesson costs something. Some lessons cost time. Others cost comfort, confidence, or money. But if you learn from the experience, the price becomes an investment rather than a loss. The same hardship that leaves one person bitter can leave another wiser. The difference is not found in the event itself. It is found in the meaning each person gives it. This is why delayed gratification matters so much. The strongest transformations are usually invisible in the beginning. The quiet hours spent learning, improving, practicing, and staying disciplined rarely attract attention. Yet those unnoticed decisions slowly become the visible success that people later call luck. Perhaps the better question has never been, when will life become easier? A more powerful question is, who must I become so that difficult things no longer control me? The answer to that question changes everything, because lasting success is never built by changing circumstances alone. It is built by changing the person who faces them. And that journey begins with the identity you choose to create next. Identity transformation. There comes a moment in every real comeback when changing your circumstances is no longer enough. You realize that if you rebuild your finances without rebuilding yourself, you may eventually lose everything again. Lasting success is never protected by luck. It is protected by identity. The person you become will always have a greater influence on your future than the money you earn. That is why the fifth rule is this: become the builder before you build wealth. Most people focus on constructing the life they want while ignoring the person who must build it. But every lasting achievement is created twice, first in character, then in reality. Before you can build a stronger future, you must become someone capable of sustaining it. Imagine a sculptor standing before a massive block of stone. The masterpiece is not created by adding something magical. It is revealed by patiently removing everything that does not belong. Every strike of the hammer removes another unnecessary piece until the hidden figure finally appears. Your identity works the same way. Every disciplined choice chips away at excuses. Every difficult decision removes fear. Every promise you keep to yourself reveals a stronger version that has been waiting beneath old habits all along. The challenge is that most people unknowingly defend the identity they have repeated for years. They say, I'm always broke, I'm just unlucky, I've never been disciplined. At first these sound like observations. Eventually they become instructions. Your mind starts searching for evidence to prove those stories true. And before long your actions begin matching the person you believe yourself to be. But imagine replacing those old stories with a different one. Instead of saying, I hope I become successful someday, you begin saying, I am becoming someone who keeps promises to myself. That small change is more powerful than it seems. It shifts your focus away from distant results and toward daily identity. Success stops feeling like something that might happen one day. It becomes something you practice every day. This leads to the sixth rule: protect your self-respect like your greatest investment. Many people chase confidence without realizing that confidence cannot be purchased or borrowed. It is earned. Every time you follow through on a commitment, even a small one, you collect another piece of evidence that you can trust yourself. That evidence becomes confidence. Confidence becomes courage. Courage becomes consistent action. Stop measuring your worth only by the size of your bank account. Measure it by the promises you keep when nobody is watching. Measure it by whether your actions match your values. Measure it by your consistency, because consistency reveals character long before it produces visible results. A river does not carve through rock because it is the strongest force in a single moment. It succeeds because it never stops flowing. A mountain is not conquered in one giant leap, but through thousands of steady steps. A bridge is not built by wishing it into existence, but by placing one beam after another until the impossible becomes possible. Your new identity is built the same way, through ordinary choices repeated with extraordinary commitment. So ask yourself honestly, who are you becoming every day? What identity are today's habits strengthening? If someone copied your routine for the next 5 years, would they eventually arrive at the future you dream about, or would they inherit the same frustrations you are trying to escape? The answers to those questions may be uncomfortable, but they are also liberating, because the moment you choose a new identity, every small action gains a new meaning. Discipline is no longer punishment. Patience is no longer weakness. Sacrifice is no longer loss. They become evidence of the person you are becoming. And once your identity begins to change, your daily actions stop feeling like obligations and start becoming proof that your future is already under construction. Daily actions that build the new you. Once your identity begins to change, something remarkable happens. The habits that once felt impossible slowly become natural. You stop asking yourself whether you feel motivated enough to act, because your actions are no longer controlled by temporary emotions. They become a reflection of the person you are choosing to become. This is where real transformation separates itself from wishful thinking. Identity gives direction, but daily action gives it life. That is why the 7th rule is simple. Master ordinary days. Most people imagine success as a collection of extraordinary moments. They picture major opportunities, breakthrough decisions, or life-changing events. But the truth is far quieter. Extraordinary lives are built through ordinary mornings, ordinary evenings, and ordinary choices that seem insignificant in the moment. The future rarely changes because of one spectacular day. It changes because hundreds of ordinary days were lived with purpose instead of distraction. Successful people are not always better at making huge decisions. More often, they are better at making small decisions repeatedly. They choose to wake up when they said they would. They finish the work they promised themselves they would complete. They keep learning even when no one is watching. Those choices appear too small to matter, yet together they shape an entirely different future. Think of your daily routine as the invisible architecture of your life. Just as no building can stand without a carefully designed framework, no meaningful future can survive without daily habits supporting it. What you repeatedly do becomes the structure that holds your dreams together. If that structure is weak, every new opportunity feels unstable. If it is strong, even difficult seasons become easier to endure. The 8th rule reminds us where that structure begins. Guard your time like your greatest asset. Many people believe money is their most valuable resource. In reality, time is even more precious, because once it is spent, it can never be earned back. Every hour is like a seed planted into the soil of your future. Some seeds grow opportunity, others grow regret. Whether you notice it or not, you are planting something with every decision you make. Choosing to read instead of endlessly scrolling may not feel exciting today, but knowledge compounds quietly. Choosing to learn instead of complain strengthens your mind, while complaints strengthen your excuses. Choosing to save instead of trying to impress people creates freedom instead of temporary approval. Choosing to practice before you feel confident builds the confidence you were waiting for in the first place. This is why discipline often feels uncomfortable at the beginning. It asks you to sacrifice immediate pleasure for future freedom. But look closely and you will see that discipline is not the opposite of freedom. It is the path toward it. The discomfort you willingly accept today protects you from far greater pain tomorrow. Every disciplined decision is a vote for the life you truly want, rather than the comfort you temporarily crave. Many people wait for motivation before they begin. They hope inspiration will arrive first, making hard work feel easy. Yet motivation is unpredictable. It appears when it wants and disappears just as quickly. Discipline follows a different path. Motivation waits for emotion. Discipline creates emotion. The more consistently you act despite not feeling like it, the more confidence and momentum begin to follow. Action creates belief far more reliably than belief creates action. Patience becomes your hidden advantage in a world obsessed with speed. Most people quit because they cannot immediately see results. They mistake silence for failure and slow progress for no progress at all. Yet the greatest transformations spend a long time growing beneath the surface before anyone notices them. Think about a marathon. No one finishes 26 miles because they sprint the first mile with endless energy. They finish because they respect the pace, trust the process, and keep putting one foot in front of the other. Life rewards the same approach. Consistency defeats intensity because intensity burns out while consistency quietly keeps moving forward. Stop searching for dramatic moments that promise to change everything overnight. Respect the quiet power of repetition instead. Every promise you keep, every distraction you resist, every hour you invest wisely is another brick placed into the foundation of your future. Long before the world notices your success, your character is already being rebuilt. And that invisible rebuilding is often the strongest kind, because like the roots of a tree growing deep beneath the ground, it prepares you to stand firm when greater opportunities finally appear. The future is built today. By now, one truth should feel impossible to ignore. Your future is not created by one extraordinary decision. It is shaped by ordinary choices repeated until they become extraordinary results. Every habit you strengthen, every excuse you reject, and every promise you keep is quietly introducing you to the person you will become. The question is no longer whether your future is being built. The question is whether you are building it intentionally. That brings us to the ninth and final rule: think in years, act today. One of the greatest mistakes people make is expecting too much from a single month while expecting far too little from 5 consistent years. They want dramatic change immediately, and when life refuses to deliver it, they assume nothing is happening. But the most meaningful transformations are rarely loud. They are patient, steady, and almost invisible in the beginning. Think about a tiny seed buried beneath the ground. For weeks, nothing appears to happen. The soil looks exactly the same. To someone standing above it, the effort seems wasted. Yet beneath the surface, roots are stretching deeper every single day. Those unseen roots eventually support a tree that can survive storms, provide shade, and bear fruit for years. Your daily choices are no different. The results you cannot see today are often preparing the life everyone else will notice tomorrow. A river does not reshape a mountain because it is stronger in one moment. It changes the landscape because it keeps flowing long after stronger forces have disappeared. A ship crossing the ocean can arrive on an entirely different continent by adjusting its course by only 1 degree. A skyscraper inspires people because of what rises into the sky, yet its greatest strength remains hidden underground in a foundation few people ever admire. Nature reminds us again and again that lasting greatness is built through quiet consistency rather than dramatic moments. Now imagine 2 versions of yourself standing 5 years from today. At first, they look almost identical. Both wake up tomorrow morning. Both have the same 24 hours. Both face similar challenges and distractions. But one version keeps delaying change, telling himself he will begin next week, next month, or next year. He continues protecting old habits because they feel familiar. He waits for confidence before taking action and hopes circumstances will eventually become easier. The other version makes a different choice today. Not a perfect choice. Not a life-changing miracle. Simply a decision to begin. He reads a few pages instead of wasting another hour. He saves a little instead of spending everything. He learns one new skill instead of making another excuse. He keeps one promise to himself, then another, then another. None of these actions seem remarkable on their own, yet they quietly create a completely different person. 5 years later, the difference is impossible to ignore. One person is still waiting for the right moment. The other has become the kind of person opportunities naturally seek out. The gap was never created by luck. It was created by thousands of small decisions that compounded over time. People often think compounding belongs only to money, but life compounds in every direction. Skills improve through repetition. Confidence grows every time you keep a promise to yourself. Your reputation is built through consistent character, not occasional brilliance. Relationships become stronger through steady presence and trust. Even your mindset compounds. Every disciplined decision makes the next one slightly easier because you are reinforcing the identity you have chosen to live. Do not underestimate what surviving difficult days is doing inside you. Every challenge faced without quitting strengthens your resilience. Every temptation resisted strengthens your discipline. Every disappointment overcome strengthens your perspective. What feels like endurance today becomes inner strength tomorrow. Yes, sacrifice is uncomfortable. Choosing long-term growth over short-term pleasure often feels lonely because the rewards are delayed. But temporary sacrifice creates permanent freedom. The hours you invest now buy choices you cannot yet imagine. The discipline you practice today becomes the peace of mind you enjoy later. The effort you make while nobody notices becomes the success everyone suddenly calls overnight. Trust slow progress. Respect quiet growth. Do not confuse invisible results with wasted effort. The greatest changes often happen long before they become visible to the world. And that is exactly why your future is never built all at once. It is built one decision at a time, beginning with the choice you are willing to make today. We began with a simple truth that many people spend years trying to avoid. Losing money is painful. Losing opportunities is painful. Watching plans fall apart is painful. But losing hope is a choice that no setback can make for you. Your circumstances may influence your future, but they do not have the final vote. That decision has always belonged to you. Everything we have explored is really one connected philosophy. Accept reality without drowning in self-pity, because honesty is where rebuilding begins. Take ownership before searching for opportunity, because responsibility unlocks possibilities. Excuses never will. Build value before chasing money, because lasting rewards follow lasting growth. Treat failure as feedback instead of identity, because what happened to you is not who you are. Become the builder before trying to build wealth, because your character will always determine what you can sustain. Protect your self-respect by keeping promises to yourself, because confidence grows through evidence, not wishes. Master ordinary days, because remarkable lives are quietly built inside ordinary moments. Guard your time like your greatest asset, because every hour shapes the person you are becoming. Think in years while acting today, because patience transforms small decisions into extraordinary outcomes. These are not rules for getting rich overnight. They are principles for becoming someone who can rebuild no matter how many times life knocks them down. Money can disappear. Businesses can fail. Careers can change. But a disciplined mind, resilient character, and strong identity become assets that no crisis can permanently take away. So before this video ends, give yourself one simple challenge. Take out a piece of paper and create your own financial reset. Write down 3 things you must leave behind. Maybe it is fear, excuses, comparison, or the belief that your past defines your future. Then write down what you must learn. Perhaps it is patience, discipline, financial wisdom, or the courage to begin again. Finally, write down what you are going to build next. Not just the income you want or the goals you hope to reach, but the person you are determined to become. Then make one commitment. Choose one meaningful action you will complete within the next 24 hours. Not next Monday. Not next month. Today. Small actions repeated consistently have changed more lives than grand plans that were never started. Stop waiting for the perfect moment because it has never existed. The reset does not begin when your bank account reaches a certain number. It begins the moment you replace excuses with responsibility, hesitation with action, and doubt with commitment. One day, years from now, you may look back on this season and realize something unexpected. The day you thought everything was falling apart was actually the day everything meaningful started coming together. The setback that felt like an ending became the foundation of a completely different life. The next chapter of your life will not be written by what happened to you. It will be written by what you decide after this moment. A financial reset is never just about rebuilding your money. It is about rebuilding the person who earns it. Wealth can be lost overnight, but a disciplined mind becomes the foundation no setback can ever take away. The life you want does not begin when your circumstances change. It begins the moment you do.